Hey, my name's shawnshawn. I sell art on shawnshawn.co, and today we're going to react to Michael Chamberlain. So Michael Chamberlain, he's a painter in San Francisco area, so I used to live there. So he does a lot of plein air painting online, so let's check out one of his works. So this one's called Bob Ross Has Left the Chat. All right, let's check it out, guys.
Hey guys, so I am out on the Sawyer Camp Trail, which is in Millbrae, California, and it's right near my house. It's like maybe 10 minutes away, and climbing up a hill, so pardon me. And I think it's like a good thing to have places nearby your house to go paint. I haven't been out here in many years.
So it's kind of a cool way to start the video. He's actually just walking with the camera, and he's kind of, you seeing where he's at. You see the highway close by. California is very dense, so you're always going to be close to a highway when you park and then walk to somewhere to paint. It's very common you're going to have that background noise. I don't always record that. I might record it maybe, you know, time lapse as you walk there, and then maybe have an intro on the beach or something. But it is an interesting way to start the conversation. It's very raw, very authentic.
I can't even remember if there's anything worth painting, but I'm all loaded up and I'm looking around. This is the view over the edge of the trail, just like a tangle of oak trees. And out in the distance there's a reservoir, but you can't quite see it through the trees. All right, so this is a cool view. I like that poplar tree. And then how you can see in the distance.
All right, let's get to the painting part, maybe. We're going a little bit ahead here.
And I'll just see what I can do.
It's interesting. He has this really wide palette easel.
Using burnt sienna as usual. And let me show you what I got. All right, so working really fast. Just kind of mapping things out. Obviously, we've got the water here. This is sort of the reflections of the trees. Some hills in the background. And then I've got some large trees that are in the foreground here because I don't want the eye just going off to the edge. There's also another tree in this area that's in the foreground that's blocking the eye.
So what do you guys think about this easel setup? It's kind of curious. I have the classic French easel where it has a box of paints and everything, but it's kind of heavy. I've only done it a couple times on plein air. I usually do in studio painting. I just find it easier, but it's very cool, the setup. It's very lightweight what he's using. He just has like some sticks. I guess he's painting out of his hand. I'm not sure. But it is cool. He's kind of walking you through how the painting is going to roll out. It has these nice hooks on it to hold the painting still in the wind. That's going to be an issue if you're painting outdoors. You always have to have those. So let's see how this goes. A little further here. So he changed the camera angle. That's kind of nice. So he's really just roughing it in really quick. Very nice sky to match. A little bit darker in the river to kind of, it's going to reflect the sky, but it's going to be a little darker because you have a little bit of depth under the water, so that's going to have that murkiness under there. You might want to add voiceover here to kind of go over the top, but it's fine. It's just a natural pacing of the video, so you see what he's actually painting. So it's really kind of a really fun sketch. He has time-lapsed a little bit here and there, but generally he's just doing it, maybe he sped it up a little bit, but not much, so just almost at the same speed as painting here. Let's go a little bit ahead here. I think he has kind of, he's hiking out here. So I assume he's going to finish this in studio, but it has a really nice look to it. It's got a roughed in, really nice colors.
So I was able to work for about an hour before the sun went behind the hill. Light's not so good for showing you the painting now, so let's go back to the studio and we'll take a look. It's amazing how fast the temperature drops once the sun goes down. It was like really warm, probably maybe around 70. It feels like it's like in the 40s now.
Yeah, anyone in California, basically 40 degrees is freezing weather there.
All right, so this is a 16 by 20 inch panel, and as I mentioned, it's about an hour's worth of work. And I decided on a C-shaped composition here. And there's certain things I did to accentuate the composition. As you guys know, I feel like composition is king, so that's always my primary focus. Normally I would lighten the mountains in the background.
So I think it's a pretty strong video. We're going to skip to the next video here. So this one is called, Is Art School Worth the Money? Let's check a look.
All right, so art school, is it worth the time and money? I've talked about this in previous videos, but it's been a while. So I thought I would talk about this topic again. I think right now there are a lot of young people that are trying to figure out what the best way to spend their time and money is to get an education. Obviously, right now there's a lot of remote learning going on, and so I think people are kind of rethinking education. So I'm going to give my thoughts, my experience as somebody who does not have a formal art education, and yet I've been a professional painter for 10 years.
Yeah, so this is a really crucial point to make. If you have talent and you've developed your own, like he's done plein air painting and he's probably studied on his own, unless you're going to teach professionally, you don't necessarily need an art degree. There's nothing wrong with art degree, but it could be like $100,000 versus a couple of YouTube tutorials, maybe study under a couple of people. That might be a couple $100. So let's see what he says about that.
So I'm going to give my take on it. But one of the things I love about this, about YouTube, is the comment section and the sort of community thing, the conversation that takes place. So if you're a painter that got an art education and you're a professional painter or not, whatever, put your story down below. This could be a valuable resource for a young person who's found this video, is trying to make that decision. So that's what I want to encourage. It's not just about my opinion. I'm going to share my experience, my thoughts, but I want yours down below. My thing is, to be a creative person, you've got to be economically savvy. You know, that's something apparently they don't teach in art school, but from what I've heard. But that's the thing that I've discovered is really important. Like, you know, using ways to cut costs, whether it's building frames or making my own panels or using economical materials. That sort of thing is really, really important if you're going to want to succeed as a successful creative person. You know, you've got to think about the economy. So the number one question is, and I'm going to guess that an art education, a university art education, will cost you about $100,000. My first question is, what am I going to get for $100,000? Is this the best way to spend the money to get me where I want to be?
Yeah, this is where it really comes down to for my book. I mean, you get a really professionally trained in school sometimes, but for $100,000, let's say you spend $1,000 on YouTube videos, that's $99,000 you can use on advertising. You would be like 1 million subscribers, selling hundreds and hundreds of paintings probably. I mean, you can't use that much. You have to actually get good, so it doesn't make sense to advertise early on that much. But you can just use a little bit of ad spend. Like I do $5 a week or $5 a day on Facebook advertising, and I've grown like 1,000 subscribers over the year. And if I went like 5 years, that'd probably be like 100,000. So you got to ask yourself, is it worth 100,000? And maybe that's $5K spend in ads, maybe, versus where's your value on the. So that's $5K plus maybe you took a couple of tutorials from some advanced painters. So maybe you got like 3,000. 5,000, so 8,000. You still have, what's the other 92,000 value?
Number one, decide where you want to be. For me, it was, I want to be a professional painter. I want to work full-time as a painting artist. You know, creating paintings, selling those paintings, and making my living that way. That was my goal. Now, if I were to ask myself, I didn't have the option to go to art school. I was older when I started. I was 38, and like I said, painted probably almost 10 years, and then I quit my job and became full-time. And so at the time I had a small child. I couldn't go to school if I wanted to. It just was not an option. But I had a background of self-educating myself through music. I taught, most musicians, you figure it out. Like we listen to records or whatever, or CDs, and you kind of learn how to play guitar by ear training and figuring it out. And so I had the confidence of doing that, of self-educating through music, never took any lessons,
So I really like the style here, what he's got that one-on-one shot straight to the camera. He's really gritty background. It's cleaned up in the background, so that's kind of nice, but, he has his hair all unkept, so it looks very artistic in a way. I probably would have combed my hair for the video. I just put a hat on. I think it's simpler, and then as long as you got short hair, it's fine. But everyone has their look for being an artist. It definitely has that very authentic look, so let's keep going. Let me skip ahead a little bit.
Necessarily be a positive thing. I think that's changed, and there is a movement back towards a mix of tradition, and but I don't know, because I haven't gone, and I don't. Yeah, so you're on your own on that one. Or like I said, comment section, put it down below. So all right, so number one for me, the cost. No, it's not worth the cost. Number two, the time. No, it's not worth the time either. Putting that time myself, again, if I was younger and I was starting, I would take a fraction of that cost to support myself and just put the work into specifically doing what it was that I wanted to do. Now, once you jump into that process, you're on the journey. You know, you may start out painting and who knows, like veer into sculpture or something else or whatever. But I just think jumping into the real world as soon as possible with that is, you know, the sooner the better, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I would say that too. When I went to art school, I did 3 years, and then I kind of graduated in Spanish and history because I got too much credit studying abroad. And my whole experience when I was painting, they'd be like, "Let's do the human skull skeleton," which is fine. You learn how to draw figurative drawing, and then let's do landscapes. And it was just this really slow glacier pace, and then you're paying tens of thousands of dollars, and you're like, you know, I just think about the way YouTube's set up nowadays, as far as YouTube tutorials and find someone that's really good and then can teach and then just take their advanced classes. It's going to be a couple $100s. It's way, 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 way cheaper. It is good to paint with other people. You can go in studio and get like a co-op studio and just study there, paint there. You're going to see people that are already great there. You can just watch over their shoulder how they paint and be like, oh, learn some tips. This is how to mix a color. This is the composition they use, color theory. You can learn a lot of that online for free. So it's like, what is the value of school? I mean, he's making some good points here.
If the decision is whether to take that $100,000 and spend it on art school or to, help support yourself while you're figuring it out for yourself in the real world and attempting to sell your work in the real world, there's no choice. I mean, I would say take that money and put it towards, towards a real life experience and really trying to think. I mean, this is something I'm not sure they teach either, is you've got to be as creative in making a living as an artist as you do in creating your art.
So he's making some really great points here. This is really long, so I'm going to skip the rest of this, go to the next video. But I think he's making some really, really solid points on that old school mentality of going to art school versus just learning it on YouTube and, go to a co-op and different ideas you can use to learn on your own nowadays. And even in a co-op with other artists. And there's also, say, for example, at UC Berkeley, you can go after hours. It's a non-credited class, but you can draw straight from the model and it's $4. $4. That same class going to UC Berkeley, it's probably $1,500. Like, what's the difference? You're sketching for the model. You're sketching for the model. You do a landscape. You just grab a pencil and paper, go outside and start drawing. Like, what the hell are you talking about? It's just so crazy. Again, studying with a master artist is really valuable, but those are available at a co-op or, you meet those people drawing plein air. You might run into someone, they could give you some tips. I think you should go to some kind of classes, but maybe just online. There's just so much online that's, free or a couple $100 or, you just have so many resources. Let's skip ahead. And also the practicality, what he's talking about of selling and figure out how to sell. They don't teach you that at all. At least they didn't in my school. And that's why I didn't finish in art, because I was just like, what the hell? There's just a lot of money spent and they never taught me how to market. And back then, this was when you had the gallery system. So they're just setting up the students for failure. So let's go up to the next video. This one is painting plein air. Oil painting Moss Beach with Mom. So it's kind of cute. It's a really nice kind of set the scene.
So exploring a new location today. This is a spot that is usually really windy. I've come out here multiple times and it's just too windy to paint, but today is actually really beautiful. A gentle breeze, so I'm looking around. Trying to find a composition. So I might actually go with this. Obviously there's this strong shadow pattern right here. I'm gonna lose that pretty quickly, but I do like how the foreground kind of leads in. There's these nice reds.
Yeah, it's really cool. He kind of walks up to the beach, setting the stage, and yeah, just really cool.
So here is the composition idea. We've got trees up here along the background, the top of the bluffs, and then there's going to be a big shadow right here. So you got foreground, trees in the background, this shadow, which I'm going to lose pretty quickly. So I'm going to work to establish this the colors of this shadow right here first, and then I can start developing the other colors afterwards. All right, so the shadows are sort of warm. I'm using dioxazine purple mixed with
So this is really cool. He's actually showing the mixing. I don't think in the other video he showed the mixing, so that's kind of a stronger way to show it. You see like the gritty palette. He's obviously saving the oil paint because it lasts several weeks, especially if you use like a saran wrap on top, so you can reuse that paint several times. Acrylic paint, you just scrape it off. It's trash, right? So it's a different process with oil. But yeah, it's pretty cool that he's showing actually how he's mixing those colors.
Yellow ochre, just sort of a dull, warm, purplish gray actually. Also, I'm going to be using liquid today, so I thin with a bit of liquid, and then I can start mapping out my shapes.
It's really good color mixing. Just block it in really quick. If you're working outdoors, you have to work really fast, so you just want to really nail those colors, get the blocks in really quick. Sketch it out obviously first really roughly, and then you can really hit that landscape. He's pretty smart using gloves too. I have gloves, but I never use them, so hats off for using gloves so you save your hands from washing, because it can be pretty toxic sometimes. I am pretty amazed that that easel is able to stand there. Maybe he's using weights to hold down the easel, because I'm like, how's that thing not blowing straight over with the wind coming off the ocean? Because the ocean just naturally blows the breeze up like this. Let's skip ahead a little bit. Okay, here he has kind of the journey home, I think.
The surf actually looks really good. Not super crowded, not very windy, and not super big either, which is good.
So it is really nice. He's kind of add this vlog element to the painting. So you have just a painting demo, but you also have kind of a vlog experience to go with it. I think this really adds a lot of flavor to the video. You get a lot of more personal connection with the artist, and just to kind of establish in the scene, the day in the life of the artist. Oh, you're actually going surfing? That's pretty cool. So if you've ever surfed in California, I did twice. I never really learned, because you really need a lot of practice. I think if you start young enough, you can actually learn it quickly. But I started in my 30s, and it was really difficult to learn. So, I mean, if I had gone repeatedly day after day. But you do have to wear this full bodysuit, because it is probably maybe mid-60s tops. So it's pretty cold water, man. You're going to feel that. So it's pretty cold water. But it's cool that he's put this mount on his board. He's obviously using a GoPro, and he's kind of mounted to the surfboard. You got all those really cool shots. Just adds a lot of flavor in the day in the life of this painter. So I think it's a really strong effect here. So get on the board a couple times. Let's see what else he has. So you having food, especially Mexican food, after surfing, you'd be so hungry. You just famished surfing. Got a nice drive back here.
Okay, so here is the painting set in one of my natural wood floater frames. There were a couple concerns I had when I started out with this painting. Number one is I thought that having all of this red, which is like a plant called ice plant, it's a succulent that grows everywhere out here in California.
It's interesting because I thought he would kind of finely detail it, but he's left a very, very rough kind of expressionless style painting.
Or in Northern California. And it turns red at certain times of the year, which is beautiful, but I felt like it might be too much of a distraction to have all that red up front, but it doesn't bother me. It does bring this portion forward so that you can tell that it's in the foreground. I tried to get some separation on the trees that were in the background. There was cypress and then some sort of I don't even know what that was, kind of a shrubby looking tree. But then there were other cypress in the background. So I wanted to have separation, like these two trees come forward and the others recede a bit. And then I also wanted to include this trail along the top.
Yeah, it's interesting he's left it this style. I think the top portion is far, but for me the waves would be totally dissatisfying, but I do my waves differently. Everyone does their own style.
I wish I had more time to look at the colors in the shadows, but the light in the morning just moves so quickly. So I think maybe next time I'll get out there earlier. All right, so as usual, thanks for hanging out, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you'd like to see some extra videos and help support the channel, there's a Patreon link down below.
Yeah, so I think he has a really cool way of ending, talking through the video. He has surfing. He's got traveling around with the car shots. He's got setting up for the plein air and then the plein air on site, the talking, discussing about the painting. Has a really nice, dense story build to this, which most painters are just, again, they put the white piece of paper, they add the paints, they add a bottle of water, and they start painting, and then it's blank canvas to the end, and that's it. You don't really understand the day in the life of a painter. And because he does a lot of plein air painting, it's just super cool. He's got all that kind of scouting out the locations, kind of having fun along the way, surfing. So he's not only just painting, he's also surfing. It's such a really cool video because with the vlog, he has done some other vlogs, which I didn't cover because it was mostly just pure vlogs and it had nothing to do with painting. So I kind of skipped those videos, but those are his most popular videos. So it's kind of, you know, maybe you should do pure vlog along with your painting videos to kind of spice it up and really make it, as far as, you know, his popularity is done just with those other videos with him, you know, day in the life of, versus it doesn't even have painting in it. So it's kind of interesting mix because a lot of painting channels are strictly about the painting, which I think is okay, but it's good to kind of spice it up and have a little bit more vlog experience. I really like his style. He's got this really gritty, authentic look with his hair kind of disarray. He doesn't bother to comb it, but if you're going surfing, there's no, your hair's going to look good afterwards, right? And that salt water is just going to kind of cake in and make it really dry. But really nice experience, really cool looking studio. He's got the setup outdoors. He's obviously playing there a long time, so I guess that easel is very light. I think that's why he's using that really light aspect. I don't know for sure, because I have the other French easel and it's kind of okay. Indoors, I don't really like it for studio work because it's constantly the legs move, so it's super annoying. But, you know, it is what it is for now. It's just a temporary studio setup, and I think it'd be okay outdoors. But I think that the easel I have, it could be improved if they just have pegs in the foot, so you could just adjust the foot manually, and maybe you wouldn't get perfectly straight, but you'd have that steady, easy, peg it in, and it's in there, it's set, and, you know, put it up and release it. Or maybe a metal easel, I think, is even probably more practical. It doesn't look anything artistic. A wood is definitely the coolest looking way to go because it's, you identify with those early impressionists, so they had wood, you would have had wood, so it's kind of like that nice bond with history. But, you know, a good metal easel is probably the smarter way to go, I would say, because you can get like aluminum, you know, really lightweight materials. It doesn't look artistic, but it's going to be highly practical. So if you're setting up all the time painting outdoors, that could be a little more practical. These wood easel he's using, I think, is very lightweight as well. So maybe there's not much of a gain there, but with the metal, maybe you can take a little bit of weight and weight it down so the painting just stays up, because that painting acts as a sail and just going to, the wind's just going to blow it around. So you're constantly like fighting that. So very challenging to paint right next to the seaside the way he's doing, because there's always going to be a lot of wind in his seashore location. But of course, that's great for painting. It's people always buy seashores, especially if they live next to seashores. So it's a great painting, and you get all that light. It's interesting that it doesn't look like he touched it up too much in the studio. A lot of plein air painters would go, they get kind of the rough sketch outdoors, maybe a small 10 by 10, and then they go to the studio and they blow it up. Andrew Tischler, I think, does that, and he's really good outdoors, but then he goes indoors and blows up, makes this huge studio, and he has like a really good study of the colors, and he just kind of scales it up, so he gets the best of both worlds. But again, if you paint outdoors strictly, it's kind of really more authentic, and this guy has a really good authentic story. So hopefully you guys like my video. Give it a thumbs up. If you like to subscribe, you can subscribe below, and I'll see you in the next Artist Reacts video. Thanks for watching, guys.